Welcome to the Be Ruthless Show, where we have the conversations that other people don't, the conversations that other people won't. I'm your host, Sam Ruth, and I'm ready to make a lot of noise and disrupt things, ruthlessly. Thanks for being here today. Now let's get to it. Welcome back to the Be Ruthless Show. I'm your host, Sam Ruth, and if you are listening live, we are halfway through April. It is gorgeous in Colorado. I say that pretty much every time we are here, but that can change in a minute. What is the weather like by you? Are you listening live? Are you listening to a replay? I want to talk today. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. It is also Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. That is more of a Veterans Awareness Month that developed, and that is also year-round. I am an advocate for so many things that I think matter every day, every week, every month, all year long. Some of these awareness days and weeks and months are not acknowledged by so many people and places, and shining a light on them, having conversations, raising awareness, sharing a social media post, just bringing attention to things that are otherwise invisible, otherwise so difficult for so many people to talk about, makes a huge difference. It's a step in the right direction. We have so far to go, but anything that we can do is more than what's being done. So we have half a month to go, and I want to talk not only about what we can do to acknowledge the month and to have the conversations. I want to talk about what is sexual assault? What does it look like? Because first and foremost, let's just talk about the numbers. It's shocking. And I want to point out that anytime I bring up numbers, these are only the reported numbers. For the people who are coming forward, for the people who are speaking up, they will tell you, no matter how many weeks, months, years out, talk about the difficulty, right? It is not easy. It is not fun. Pick a topic. I say that with grief. It gets different. It doesn't get better. So for those who are being the voice and saying it gets different, not better, there are people who have not gotten there yet. There are people who aren't speaking up for many reasons. Maybe they're not in a safe environment. Maybe they don't have the support around them, right? And so if we are the voices of, if we are using these platforms to make a difference, then our voices matter even more, because we are speaking for these people and trying to let them know or give them hope or give them a place that they can come forward. No one should suffer in silence. No one should struggle alone, but there are people hurting every single day with all of these invisible things. So what does sexual assault even look like? To some, I didn't even get to the numbers. Oh my God, there I go again, right? To some, sexual assault only means physical assault, actually being assaulted. And over 50% of women report, and at least 1 in 3 men having experienced some sort of an assault. That's only the reported numbers. And so back to when I talk to clients, when people are giving me sometimes stories of what they've been through, people don't always know that they have been assaulted. And it's that I don't care about that. I'm just pointing out that we live in a world that doesn't always recognize what's a problem. So whether, what population do you fall into? If you are a child, adolescent, young adult, are you a female? Are you in a position where someone has power, right? A boss, somebody who's older. Any of these situations can lead to people taking advantage or you feeling like it is harder to speak up, right? So I have recently been in a situation where someone feels, because I am female, that they have the right to call me sweetheart. This one drives me nuts. Now, is this assault? No. Is this crossing a boundary? Absolutely. And some people are raised to be polite and not to talk back, right? So some people might think that they do not have the right to say, this really bothers me. Could you please refer to me by my name? Right? There's so many ways that we are allowed to speak up and let someone know that you are not allowed to talk to me that way. I am not your sweetheart. And that's disrespectful to anyone unless you're in a relationship and they give you permission, right? Is that an acceptable nickname? But there are some people, there's so many different reasons why people don't speak up. So many. I'm giving a few examples. Please don't think that the ones I give are the only ones. But that in and of itself drives me nuts. So consider a situation where someone doesn't speak up for whatever the reason, taught not to speak up. Let's just go with that one. Now someone thinks, I have permission to call you sweetheart. Boundary crossed and not told it was wrong. Wonder what other boundaries I can cross. That's the world we live in. That is what happens. Think about kids. Let's just go to children being human, being children. If they get away with something, and I'm talking even before they know, toddlers, they will do it again. They will go for more. It's just instinctual unless told not to, right? People treat us the way we let them. So this is why I'm bringing up what is sexual assault. There are people who really, truly believe that unless you are brutally assaulted, it's not assault. Some people think I said no, but I didn't aggressively say, get off of me now. I said it politely, but I didn't kick and scream. So that's not really assault. You said no. That's all that matters. If you said no, then that means no. In whatever world we're talking about. I was in a car once with someone driving in a way that I didn't feel safe and I wanted to get out of the car. Please pull over and let me out. That's asking for a boundary to be respected. I don't feel safe. I'd like to leave now. Right? That's not sexual, but that's physical. Please respect my safety wishes. So what is sexual assault? It does not have to be the act of sex. That is not the only definition of assault. What is let's just go to assault then. And what is assault? It is not only attacking, beating brutally, right? We can invade somebody, we can assault someone without it being completely violent. You can throw something at someone that might not cause bodily harm. but you are angry, aggressive, and throwing something. That's assault. It can be tricky, but throwing water at someone could be considered assault. So a lot of times it depends on the intent, but I don't want to get into all of that. I want to point out that if you feel yucky, let's just go with simple language here, then that's enough. I'm not talking about let's go to the police. I'm talking about just personal boundaries and what's right and wrong. And if somebody has crossed your personal boundaries and made you feel uncomfortable, that's not okay. Bottom line. So how do we go about having our boundaries respected? I am working with somebody who doesn't even know what her boundaries are. And this is somebody in her 60s, not in her 16s, 60, right? So these are not things that we're necessarily taught, but we need to be. You have every right to say, please don't touch me. I'm just not comfortable with touch. Doesn't matter if everyone around you loves hugs. If you don't, and it makes you feel uncomfortable, that's you, and that's okay. If you'd like to explore it and discuss it and see why does it bother me and no one else, you can, but you're not required to. We are all unique and we are all allowed to have our own boundaries. That's really the truth. So sexual assault, if you say no, the end. That means no. If someone touches you without your permission, and it does not have to be like forcefully holding you down violently. If somebody touches my leg, puts their hand, like tries to put their arm around me, and I don't want that, and I ask them to stop, and they won't, that is enough. I'm not talking here about let's go to the police and let's go to court. I'm talking about it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and how can we use this to learn and let our youngest know. So from the time they are old enough, they never have to go wondering or being afraid to use their voice. Let's have them all grow up knowing that just like they're allowed to raise their hand and say, I have to go to the bathroom, they have just as much not only right, but entitlement to say, please don't. No, I don't like that. Right? My body is mine, and I get to decide who gets to come within my personal space bubble. I'm the most loving and affectionate if you're in my world. If not, my bubble is bigger, like, wider than other people's. Like, get out of my bubble. I like my personal space, unless you're somebody I'm close with. Some people are touchy, huggy, have no bubble with everyone. No judgment. It just is who we are and how we are. And there's no right or wrong. But I am allowed to say, I would like a little bit more space than that. It's just who I am. It's how I am. If I'm not close with somebody, I would like a little bit more space. It's just me. You do not have to feel weird or bad or wrong for being who you are. Some people don't like apple juice and some people don't like orange juice. Do we get all weird and judgy about that? Why is this different? Why are we attaching more meaning to something if I like to sit a little bit further on the couch from someone than you do? It doesn't have to mean more than that, but we need to be able to learn and speak up and say what we want instead of putting other people's needs before our own. There is somebody who is in her 60s who has spent her entire life living uncomfortably because she cared more about other people being comfortable. So she sat in discomfort. So now she's learning how to speak up and say, this is my boundary. This is what feels good and what doesn't. If we have plans and I don't hear from you by the night before, I'm going to make other plans because I don't want to stay home and not do anything. Boundary. Love you, but if I can't get a hold of you and I don't know if we're seeing each other tomorrow, I'm going to plan my day. I don't want to sit around waiting, right? We are all allowed to have our own boundaries and set them and not feel badly about them. It's a strength. We do not feel badly about other things that we do with ease. And this can be something we equally do with ease, especially when it comes to our bodies. And knowing that I feel comfortable next to you on my right, but this person on my left, for some reason, I just don't feel as comfortable. Well, you know what? That is enough for me. I'm going to have a little bit more room between us, or I'm not going to be alone. I'm going to have other people around me if I'm with that person because I do not need evidence. I do not need to wait to have something bad happen and prove me right. Bad feelings are enough. I'm not saying I have to stand up and point and scream to the world, ooh, yuck, don't be friends with this person. I'm just saying I can protect myself and my body, and so can you. I am going to stop my rant and stop my rambling and ask you to think about how you can use the rest of this month, if you're listening live or in April. And if you're listening to a replay, how can we have these conversations and make this casual and part of learning and growing up and safety for men, women, girls, boys, something that we feel proud of, something that we feel good about, not something that has to be awkward and uncomfortable. I am one of the few that has not had a horrible experience. There are not many people in my friend circle world that don't have a horrible story. And that's not something that goes away. It gets different, not better, right? I said that early on. If we can learn how to walk differently so that we're less of a target, and I'm not saying anyone is at fault, but there are certain self-defense skills that we can learn. If there are things that we can carry, ways that we can attack that are less likely to hurt us and more likely to hurt the attacker, right? I want to know these things. I went to the University of Michigan, big campus. Walking home, I did get scared once. I did feel like, oh my God, it's dark. Am I going to make it? We all can have that late night or even in the daytime bad feeling. And that was enough for me to change my routines and learn at a young age to pay more attention to my surroundings and safety and take stock for myself and anyone I care about, because things can happen in a blink. So for you, your brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, moms, dads, loved ones, friends, and strangers, this is something that we don't want to deal with. I don't want you to be a number. I don't want you to be a part of these statistics. So how can we use this type of awareness? People ask me, what's the calendar, the Grief Hab Awareness Calendar, and why is it so important to you? And it's not just about getting dates legally added to other calendars, right? If you have this calendar and if you want to get it, reach out and look in the show notes. But if it's on your wall and you're more aware that April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, then maybe you will tonight on your way home, not just pay attention to if you're walking out alone and if the parking lot has lights, but maybe you will look in the office and see if anyone else is walking out alone. Maybe you will start to think about those type of things. There are so many dangerous situations every single day, and there's ways that we can make an act of kindness life-saving and life-changing for someone else and us. I remember someone in my office building in Livonia who just always noticed my car and noticed that I was the last one, and I was this young, small, naive, young adult looking person, even when I wasn't middle-aged woman, coming out by myself. And he would wait, make sure I didn't have to lock up the building, just to have another car there. I worked on a busy road, and it was comforting and it was nice. And that one simple thing, what can you do if you have a calendar that lets you know that it's also Bereaved Spouses Month? Maybe you would call me and say, thinking of you. Maybe there's someone in your world who's lost someone that you would ask to get coffee this month. There's so many things that paying more attention to these awareness dates that the world ignores can do. So thank you so much for being a part of my world. And I would love to hear your ideas and thoughts. Sam@SamanthaRuth.com. Until next time, always be ruthless. Thanks so much for listening today. Your support means everything to me, truly. If this podcast resonates with you, please do me a favor and join in the Ruthless movement by making some noise and doing one of these 4 things. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Tell a friend so we can break stigmas even faster. Leave a review so people can see what you think of the show. And last, if you want to learn more about me and be a part of the Grief Hab community, please head on over to the Facebook group. We'd love to have you. Thanks again for spending your time with us, and see you next week.